Hello, lovely people. Welcome to Ari Talks About Music. I'm Ari, and today I'll be reviewing the new Ichiko Aoba album, Luminescent Creatures. Luminescent Creatures is the eighth album by the Japanese folk singer Ichiko Aoba, and is her first album in nearly 5 years, having not released a proper studio album since Windswept Adan in 2020. And I think that Luminescent Creatures definitely builds on a lot of what made Windswept Adan such a great album, and showcases a lot of similar themes, still being very lush and quite a dense album, although this one is still much more stripped back and in some ways very simple compared to its predecessor. The album starts off with the track Coloratura, which just has this absolutely beautiful, lush atmosphere and these really nice subtle vocals, and actually even in some ways has an almost medieval feel to it with the way some wind instruments are used as well. Mazamund has a very stripped back and intimate feel to it, opening with just this chime and some very soft and almost childlike vocals. The very distant sound effects and field recordings are beautiful and add so much atmosphere to this song, as you can just get lost in everything that's happening in the background. And in a way, this song actually reminds me of some of the more intimate and stripped back moments on Björk's Vespertine as well, just with the very quiet and almost high-pitched vocals, as well as all of the lush sound effects happening too. Hawa once again shows off these really amazing soft vocals and a lovely sounding acoustic guitar on this track as well. And the string arrangements that come in halfway through the track as well just give it so much depth and really just make all the difference. Aurora has absolutely beautiful vocal harmonies with this really nice effect to them as well. And despite the guitar playing being so simple, it still just sounds amazing and just complements the vocals on this track so well too. Flag, once again, like much of the album, is simple and beautiful, being just a guitar and her voice, both of which, of course, sounding amazing together. I love the slight tone shift for the outro of this track as well, giving a very soft and subtle build-up, while the guitar as well as the vocals almost start to sound a bit more serious as opposed to the much more wholesome and playful first half of the song. Luciferine is a really nice switch up in the sounds, being a more piano-based song as opposed to guitar-based. I love the way the track starts to build, slowly adding layers one at a time before then just abruptly cutting off, just being left with the piano playing the same tune, which just sounds amazing after such a lush climax. This track, I think, also features particularly good vocals, with them being some of the just smoothest and softest on the whole album. And of course, I can't go without mentioning the second climax that this song does for the outro, which is just even bigger and better and more lush than the first one. And once again, after it fades out, just leaving you with that same piano playing that same tune again. Persomnia is completely instrumental and honestly is one of the most unique tracks on the album. The distant sound effects as well as the very subtle background vocals just add so much atmosphere, and the song, like many of the tracks we've already seen, builds in such a small and subtle way that just sounds amazing when you're really looking out for it. Transitioning to the following track, Sonar, sounds amazing, being a much sadder song. The dreamy effects in the background add so much depth considering they're such a simple addition, and just really make the song feel so much more alive on top of the already beautiful piano and vocals. And finally, the closing track, Wakusei no Namida, really is just the perfect way to end this album, being once again much more stripped back, being just Ichiko's voice as well as a guitar, being somewhat of a departure from the more piano-based second half of the album. And I really think that this track does just conclude the album perfectly. In fact, I even want to just take a moment to talk about the two interlude tracks on this album as well, which I normally wouldn't do, but they are both still absolutely worth mentioning, particularly the second one, Cochlea, just adding some beautiful atmosphere with these nice chime sound effects, and also just acts as a really nice transition between the guitar section and the piano section of the album. And so on the whole, this is by far one of the most beautiful and lush albums that Ichiko Aoba has released so far, and in a way can just be seen as a much simpler version of her previous album, Windswept Adan, definitely taking a lot of the elements of that album but having many similar themes, and just being a lot shorter and a lot more stripped back. And so I'm feeling a 9 out of 10 for this album. Thank you so much for watching this review. Please be sure to listen to this album yourself and tell me your thoughts below. Please leave a like if you liked the video, and please leave a dislike if you didn't like the video, and remember to stay hydrated.